Hello, this is Uncle Jim. Today we're going to put on some Palmetto State Armory furniture on the Mac-90, the Norinco Mac-90 AK. And so I wanted to show you this Magpul furniture that we took off of it because we have to keep it US compliant with US parts, and the furniture counts as 3 parts. So I took her down to Chinatown. Mac-90, get it? Whatever. All right, so before we put the wood, we're going to have to fit the wood because the Mac-90 has a thicker stamp receiver and there's going to be some fitting, so we'll cover that. But I wanted to show you before I put this away that the Magpul furniture I had on there for US compliant parts was pretty decent. It just didn't look like a Mac-90 to me. It didn't look like a traditional AK. So we're going with wood stocks. But I will say it's a good stock set. And what's really impressive is how the buttstock locks into the receiver. You got a screw here. You got another screw down here that fits on a wedge that's right here. And then you have this that goes on your tang that locks in on your tang. So I'm just gonna put all this away and put the cheek piece back on and save it for another project. All right. Now the Magpul, the thing I didn't like about it, it had a fat front end. You got your light rails you can put on here, but man, or accessories. It's got a nice heat shield. It's just fat. I didn't like that. So everything is torn down. So now we're going to start with wood and make it good. Okay, so this is going to take fitting because the Mac-90 has a thicker stamp receiver. So this block here has to come down a little bit. We got to fit that. All right, and then we have to see how far the tang comes in, and we might have to remove a little bit of that before we put the screw in to lock her down to Chinatown. So we're going to start with the easiest thing first, which isn't that easy, and that is the front handguards. Now, this is a little tight on the Mac-90, on the top handguard here. So we're filing a little bit here so it will turn on to the gas tube. And how you put these in is you have to turn them in like that. So we got to fit that first. Almost there. Measuring, going slow. And hopefully I won't have much touch up. Hopefully a little clear and we're good to go. All right. And then when it comes to the bottom handguard, we might have to take a little bit off of this block because the Mac-90 has a thicker stamp receiver, which is good, but we're going to have to do some fitting, but it will be tight. Now, another thing you got to worry about is you can't see this because it's got tape on it right now, but you have these little cutouts here, and you want to make sure they're aligned. Otherwise, you're going to have to Dremel and make them match. Okay, so there's another thing. It's not so easy with a Mac, but the Mac is back. Okay, the first step is complete on the upper there. It took a little filing. I'm having my son do it because his calculations are better than mine, and that looks absolutely gorgeous. All right. Okay, now we have to fit the bottom end, and the receiver is thicker, and see right here the block is different. All right, so he scribed a line according to his calculations how much has to be removed at the top, because you got to factor top and bottom, but it turns out the top part is going to match with the bottom part. So he took calipers to that and then scribe there, and he's going to go slow, and we're going to remove a little material here, maybe with the Japanese saw.
Probably with the Japanese saw.
Yeah. Okay, Jap and Chinese, they don't get along, but it's going to work. All right.
Well, they're going to work together on this bitch.
All right, so now we have to make sure that these line up together when this block goes into the receiver. All right? All right, so now we got to make a cut. What the hell is that? You couldn't find a smaller... Okay, so my son cut the block with this. And there's a funny story about this. Last job site I worked on before I retired, they hired people from Japan to make a tongue and groove cabin on the lake for the mansion. And they used that saw to cut beams, but he did it on an AK. All right, this looks pretty good. It's not totally perfect, but it looks acceptable. We're happy with that. And onward. So that was tough. And I think the rear stock is going to be the toughest, but as things go, it's not so tough. Okay, the handguards were close enough. Now we're going to go to the grip, and we have two different blocks here. This one came out of the Norinco, and the one that came with PSA has 2 grooves in it, and it's taller. But we're going to try the PSA and see how that works. All right, so we got the grip on, and that was easy. We used the PSA block instead of the other block. A little Loctite, and perfectly easy. That was the easiest part. It fits perfectly on the receiver, no angle problems, so that was good. Now for the bear, the rear stock. It's starting to look sexy though. It's looking sexy, all right. Looks like an AK again. Okay, so now for the fun part. We got to fit the buttstock to the receiver. The receiver is thicker than normal, and so we have to take some off the sides here. The top and bottom look fine, and then we have to drill for the 2 screws that go into the stock once this is fitted up front. All right, and another thing we got to worry about is how far the tang on the rear comes, and we might have to take a little bit off of here. I hope not, but it, you know, this is like your worst fitting ever because we're doing a actual AK-47 instead of whatever else they make these for. All right. Okay, so we had a job delay from putting in the trigger yesterday. I need drying time because we had a lot of fitting and I had to touch up the wood. So on the fore-end piece, we had to remove some here and some around here. So it goes on and it's nice and tight, custom fit. And so what I had to do after all the fitting, we'll get to the buttstock. I took an artist brush with boiled linseed oil and touched all this up because that was unfinished wood now, and you never know, anything happened, okay? You never know. So that looks good. Kind of chamfered the edge a little bit so it's not sharp. And then on this one, we had to remove quite a bit of this block, like an 1/8 inch. Because the Norinco has thicker parts on everything. Everything's thicker, beefier metal. And so did the same. And then just wiped it off with a little thinner on a rag because that won't hurt the finish. And that was much easier than masking or spraying anything on there. And it's preserved and you can't even tell. So everything's fitted there. So on the buttstock here, so I just let it dry overnight and it's dry. So the buttstock needed both sides trimmed down. It's got a thicker receiver, a little bit here, but everything else was good. and then we butt it up against there and make sure that this isn't crooked. All right, and it was just a hair, so that got trimmed up. My son did a good job. I let him do it because I would have left gaps. And then the tang did have to come back to here a little bit, about that much. So this tang had to come back to fit. And so to do that, to do the tang here, you can see the little swirl mark there. My son just used one of our favorite tools here. This is a Milwaukee little die grinder thing, and one of our favorite tools of all time. You don't need a compressor. You can use your carbide bits, your little sander, wheels, anything. And if you don't have one of these, oh, you don't know what you're missing. No more compressor, and you can sand and do anything you want. So a little carbide bit that fit perfectly right here to make this round mark. And so we're good to go. So all we have to do now is put in the 2 tang screws. All right, so when you drill this to put your screws in, make sure your hole's big enough not to split the wood, and then make sure it's small enough so it's super tight, you know. And if you screw up, you can epoxy it and re-drill, but hopefully we're not going to do that. We're going to do that right now and get her done. Now, on the front piece, you have a little clip here that can go in here, okay, and it's all cut out for it from PSA. They give you this. And then you also have this front clip that can go in the front here. All right, we didn't need any of that because it's custom fit and it's tight. And I'm glad it took fitting, because you're not going to have any loose wobbly bits. It is custom fit tight. So that's good. Took a little more time because this is a different AK than what PSA makes or other whatever. But that's good because it's custom fit. Everything's tight. Okay, drilled the holes and put the screws in. We did have one issue. This screw right here, the heads are too big for the Norinco, so my son chucked that in a drill and turned her down to Chinatown, and now everything is good. And the reason was, when you put your recoil spring, this lug at the end would hit that screw. So that's all we had to do. All right, he did a really good job on the end tang here. It fits perfect. And these are all trials and tribulations, doing it on a Mak-90. Okay, the stocks are on and it's ready for some whoop ass. I found the sling that came in the original box with the Mak-90. We can put that on later. All right, a few nitpicky things. We had that screw head that was too big for the lug on the back of the recoil spring. Fix that, easy. You want to make sure these match up. Some people had them all wonky. It depends on your AK. This one is almost perfect. And if I wanted to, I could take the gas tube off and just get in there with the needle file and even them up, and then just put the linseed oil on there, because this is a clear coat, so that's good. You just add a little clear to touch up. You get a ding. It's easy. There's no stain. It's natural color. That is good. Here's another nitpicky thing. Right here, the top of this handguard is a little fatter than the bottom. I can feel it there. That's just being nitpicky. We'll beat the hell out of it. Once it gets all dinged up, then I can sand it down and just put a clear coat on it again. Another thing is down here, and again, this is a Norinco. This is like a real deal. This has a little bit of lip of wood left at the bottom. Okay, and we had to take a chunk out of there because this is thicker. And that doesn't bother me one bit. I mean, it's very minor. So that's what the rear stock looks like. The other side, we'll take it outside and pop a few rounds. Okay, so each side looks matchy. Okay, this side has a little more black grain, and I am fine with that. The grip fit perfect, no fitting. So I'm pretty happy with that. Someday when I ding it up some more, I got lots of scratches on here. I might Cerakote it with my airbrush, but if, let it get rusty or something first. So I'm very happy with this. Everything fits nice, looks nice. Now, PSA forgot to add a screw to the butt plate. One was missing, and they're sending one right away. Very good, fast service, and they're sending one right out right away. So we're complete, we're good. And so this red dot in this mount I just put on, it's not totally sighted in, but let's go out and pop a few shots. I want to test the trigger. Whenever you test a new trigger, you want to do 1 or 2 rounds first and check, and do a couple more and check. I got a big backdrop, so I'm not worried about that, but you got to think about that. If you're at a public range, definitely 1 shot at a time, 2 shots, 3 shots, go from there. So we'll fire 2 shots. This isn't totally sighted in, but it's close. And we'll take a few pops and finish it there. I can't get this whole gun in the camera right now. But maybe I'll show you outside. You get the gist. I'm pretty happy with it. My son is like, oh, now that's an AK. Now this sling swivel, we got to pinch a little bit. It's just a little too loose. Okay, so that's no biggie. It's just a little, I don't know, put the sling on it, that'll fix that. I don't know. Other than that, very happy with it, very pleased. They did a super good finish on there. Laminated wood takes a lot of sanding and filling. That's a lot tougher than just a standard wood, because it's like plywood. And they did such a good job, and it's great that there's no stain. You just clear up anything that you did with some linseed oil, and it looks new. So, all right, we'll give her a try. It looks pretty darn good. What do you think, son? Looks like an AK now, doesn't it?
It's awesome.
I like it. All right, stone cold. We're going to try a new trigger, new stocks, new red dot, and a new mount. And hopefully we hit paper. All right. Trigger worked good. I only put 2 rounds of Wolf copper jacket. Let's see what it looks like. Did we hit paper?
You're touching the black. I can see it from here.
Cut. All right, cut. As you can see, we got Russian snow. Let's see how we did. Oh, that's not too bad for Uncle Jim anyway. All right. That will work. The stock felt really good. So they're not touching, but whatever. Okay, my son shot 2 to the right. Same deal, same range, same everything. It's gonna be his inheritance. So do we sight in for him and his cheek weld or mine? I guess we'll do it for him. I don't know. No, we'll keep it at mine, and then he can adjust when I'm dead. All right, so the stocks feel great. I'm super happy with how they look. We made the Mak-90 great again, and I think it's awesome. The trigger is awesome. I'm even warming up to having a red dot on an AK, which I'm trying to get used to here. We'll cover the mount and all that later, and my son's side mount, same kind of deal. Until next time, Thanks for watching.